Welcome to your 2026 Summit Aire Walkthrough 4505 floor plan.
All right, we'll start over here on the door panel. The controls up here on the top are your door lock and unlock. And then your window, power windows, open and close here for the driver and the passenger. And then with the key on, this switch here is for the mirror heat. Keep the ice and frost melted off your exterior mirrors. And then this would be the directional adjustment for your mirror. This switch up here selects whether you're going to adjust the driver side or the passenger side. And then once that's selected and it's red, you can use the directional arrows to move the mirrors up, down, or sideways. Right up here, we have an air horn. You just pull down on this to activate the air horn. Starting at the lower driver's side dash here, you have your ignition switch, and you can turn it on to accessory mode or go ahead and crank it all the way over to start the engine. Right in the center is where it's off, and you can remove the key. Right above it is the headlight switch, so you can turn the marker lights on or the headlights, and then you can also pull the switch just slightly to turn on the fog lights. Right beside the steering wheel is a lever that you can release, and it allows you to adjust the steering wheel position. Then once you have it in the position you want it, you can just push the lever back up to lock it in place. On your steering wheel here, there are some controls, resume, set, and cancel for your cruise control. There's a back button and a picture-in-picture icon here, and we'll show you what that does here in a minute. And then you have a ICC flash. When you first come into the coach and you first turn your ignition on, you may get some messages here that you'll have to acknowledge. You can do that by clicking the center here of this switch, and then your gauges come up clear. On this side here, we have your buttons for Bluetooth calling, and we have your volume up and down buttons for the Infotainment Center, and a mute button. So on this side of the steering wheel, we have another switch cluster, and it's your answer and hang up for your hands-free calling if you're connected via Bluetooth with your phone. You also have a volume up and down button for your Infotainment Center and a mute. This center button is a select button, and you have a back button here. This center button here is going to the Infotainment Center. This one on this side is going to the dash cluster. On the left-hand steering wheel stalk, you have your wiper controls and your wiper wash controls. You can wash by pushing it in. You can set the speeds of the wiper by rotating this dial here in the center, and then you can control your bright lights by moving the lever forward and backward. On the right hand side of the steering column, you have another stalk, and that is your transmission gear shift select right here in the center. You can put it into drive or reverse or neutral. You also have the control for your engine brake, and that is controlled by the position that you have the stalk in going up and down. You can also select here on the end here, you can select whether you want the transmission to shift manually or automatic. And then if you have it in manual, you can shift the gears by using the paddle. On your center dash cluster, you have your chassis battery voltage displaying over here on the left. Have the outside temperature and the time. In the center, you would have your miles per hour and your RPM gauge. You can go into the menu and change these from miles per hour to kilometers per hour if you need to. Here on the left side, you have your oil temperature, and you also have your turbo boost. Then underneath that, you have your fuel gauge and your DEF fluid. Fuel gauge has the fuel pump right beside it, and the DEF one has the, looks like, exhaust icon beside it. You have your tripometer, also displays your miles per hour digitally, and then you have the indicator here showing you what gear you're in. Your park brake icon is there as well. If your park brake is set, you can see that it goes out when you put your foot on the brake and release the parking brake. And then on the right hand side of the dash, you have your 2 air tank indicators with the pressure showing in each tank. Moving over here to your Infotainment Center, you have your on-off button here in the center. It's a touch screen, so you can use the icons to go to the home page, where you can select whether you want to look at gauges, cab features, or chassis information. So kind of go through gauges here first. Once you get in there, there's gauges and gauges too, so they're different gauges that show up. You can look at whatever gauge you wish to look at. Go back to the home screen. On the cab, you can set digital switches, alarm clock, and you can also go into system settings where you can change the language and the units. That's where I was telling you you could change miles per hour to kilometers if you wanted, right there, just like that. Go into the language, set whatever language you want up on the screen as well. We'll go over here into settings. You can click the icon for settings, go into system settings, language, units, system settings. That was that. Go into connectivity. That's where you can set up your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or your device manager here, where you go in to connect a new phone to the system. We can select chassis, and that's where we can go in and see our tire pressure monitoring system, get all the readouts for each tire. We can also go in to see axles, and we can see if those are locked together with your switches here. You can go into system maintenance and reset your engine oil intervals, and also see what's needed. Diagnostics will take you into software, if there's software updates, and active driver alerts will give you notices. They're likely the same notices that might come up on your center, your gauge here when you first start it up. Right now it's showing the windshield washer fluid's low, so we want to fill that up. The star button here would be your favorites button. You can set up your favorites, balance out your sound on your Infotainment Center here in the equalizer, set your bass and treble, go ahead and do your balance right and left, and then you can turn your auto volume adjustment on or off. That's where whatever you're doing through your Infotainment Center, if you're listening to music, it increases as your speed increases. Kind of a nice feature. Turn the display off there as well. These buttons here will change the channel on your radio. This one here is another, like a shortcut button to gauges, similar to, it gets you to the same place as if you were at home and hit the gauges. Same way with the cab. The cab takes you to the stuff that's in the cab area instead of going through that way. Then this would be the same with the one that's chassis here. So you can keep scrolling through here and get all your alerts, your information on oil levels, oil life, filter status, transmission health, your tire pressure monitoring system, what's going on with your axles, and then your reset for your engine oil and your engine oil maintenance indicator. This one here will take you into exterior lighting or into interior lighting and allow you to make adjustments for like how bright or dim you want the step well lighting. And then exterior lighting would be if there's cab lights on the outside. The exterior lighting on our coach here is not used. This here is a shortcut to your devices, and if to connect a device, kind of takes you the same way in, just a shortcut of how we went in before off of the touch screen. The music icon, shortcut to get you to the radio screen where you can select AM, FM, WX, or you can do your presets here, your preset stations. You can search, get your list of current stations, and you can also go into settings. And then these are your volume up and down buttons that you can use, as well as the volume buttons on the steering wheel. Do the same thing, just personal preference on which ones you use. Alright, moving over to the side of the Infotainment Center, you have a USB-C charger and USB-C input to your Infotainment Center. Underneath there you have your HVAC controls for the dash area. With the engine running, you can select the speed of the fan. You can also set the temperature selector here to warmer or colder. You can press the center of this button. That one will get you the snowflake icon. It will turn green here, the LED will, and that will turn the compressor on. The center of this button here will close the doors to recirculate air out of the cab instead of pulling fresh air in from the outside. And this selector here will allow you to select the area that the air is going to come out of. So all at your feet and windshield, all windshield for defrost, all out here at the front towards the driver and passenger, and the floor, just all out in the center vents towards the driver and passenger, or a selection here that has all the vents open. Moving down here to the switch cluster. This one here, you can press it and it says light test on it. What it does is it turns all the lights on and off, and the turn signals and stuff goes through a light test so the driver can easily check all the lights before they leave. To turn that off, just click it again. This next switch is the regen off switch, and when you have the switch turned on, it keeps it from regenning when you don't want to. Of course, it's better to regen when you're going down the road at higher speeds and RPMs, but you could be in a position where you don't want the regen to actually take place. You can turn it off. This switch here is for the footwell lighting. We showed you earlier in the Infotainment Center that you can adjust the intensity of those. And this one here, be a dome light switch, which I don't believe we're using in this current setup. This would be your hazard flasher lights. Just pressing it once will turn it on, pressing it again will turn it off. There's one here for utility light, and I also don't believe that we're using this one. The ATC spin switch will, when you do it, it'll put the no traction control symbol on the center dash cluster. What this one does is it allows you to spin the tires if you need to. Turning it back off by hitting the switch again just turns it off and reactivates the traction control system. This next switch says LDW off, and LDW off is lane departure warning. So this is nice to use like if you're in a construction area where they've got the lanes marked off and you're kind of going all over the place to follow the road. It's not alarming at you all the time for lane departure warning. There are some time restrictions, I believe, on this switch here. This is all in your Freightliner driver manual, but I believe this will automatically go off after a certain amount of time. This engine shutdown override switch, this would be like if you had trouble and your chassis went into limp mode, but you needed to get into a safe area that you could stop at. You can press the override for a limited time. It will let the engine have power again, and it will allow you enough time to get over into a safe place off of the road to call for assistance. All right, over here in the center cluster, we have the shade switch. This one here controls the overhead shade above the cab, and so you can raise and lower the pleated shade with this switch. The gen start and stop, you can press this switch and it will go through the priming and preheat, and it will go in and start the generator. Then once you're done operating the generator, you can simply hit stop and it will shut the generator off. This switch, called battery boost, will allow you to boost the house batteries or the chassis batteries, whichever one needs a boost, just by pressing and holding the switch in the desired position. We like to say it's best if you press and hold it for about a minute before you try to start the engine if you're trying to boost the chassis batteries. And then the next one would be the dock lights. This is just simply an on-off switch, and it turns the dock lights on back near the rear axle. This switch here is a momentary switch for courtesy lights. It will turn the courtesy lights on and off. And then this switch, momentary contact again, and it's for the cab ceiling lights. So just turns those on and off over the cab. All right, below that we have your trailer brake air supply. Works just like the parking brake. You pull it to apply the brakes and push it in to release the brakes. So kind of looks like that when you release both brakes, and then when you apply them, you simply pull them back and it applies the brakes. You have a axle interlock switch here and a differential lock switch here. Neither one of these switches are intended to be used when you're going down the road. They're for slippery conditions at low speeds, and I don't believe they'll work over 15 miles an hour. And there's several warnings about these in the owner's manuals. Before you would use these, you would really need to look and get all the details out of the Freightliner owner manual on these switches. This one here, called suspension height, will allow you to raise and lower the rear suspension. This is especially helpful when you're hooking up to a trailer and the ball might be a little bit too high. You can lower it down, and then you can once you've got your trailer hooked up, you can raise it back up. This is also another one that is meant for very low speeds in situation where you're hooking up to a trailer or whatever, and not to be running down the road with it lowered. You can lower it to also change the weight ratio on the rear axle a little bit if you're in a slippery condition. So those are basic overviews of those. We do have a 12-volt power outlet over here on this side. These are intended to be power outlets. They're not intended to be cigarette lighters. And then we also, right up here, have USB-C chargers as well. Below, we have some cup holders. There's not really much to explain about those. All right, above the dash here, we have the camera system. And this camera system, you can touch the screen and it will allow you to see the camera that you've selected. So front, rear, side, either side. You can see split screen with both sides. You can see both sides in the rear. You can see split screen 4 ways where you see each camera separately. And then you can see the split screen with the bird's eye view with the rear camera. So here in the center, you have a couple of lights here that you can turn off and on by pressing them. They'll also come on when you open the driver or passenger door. And then above that, there's a compartment here that's made for a CB radio and has the wiring there for a CB if you choose to install one. Each side then, over the driver and the passenger, is just some storage area. There's also additional storage in the cabinets above and to the side of the cab area here, overhead cab area. It's just all storage. All right, looking at the driver and passenger chairs, they're both the same, so we're going to go over one set of controls. But these controls here are for the lumbar, and there's 3 different positions of lumbar support, and you can increase the pressure on the lumbar by pushing them up, or decrease the pressure by pushing them down. Right above that, we have a selector here for seat heat or seat cooling, and then we have right beside it the level of low, medium, or high for each of those functions, and then off is in the center. The next lever here, this increases the pressure and the height on the whole seat, so you can lower the seat or raise the seat. Down below here, there's a lever that you can release to rotate the seat, but to rotate the seat around, you're going to have to take this center adjustment here in the front and move it forward enough to get enough clearance to rotate the seat around so you don't scrape the back of the plastic pieces and the door. To adjust the armrest on these seats, you can hear they click. You can put it all the way up and then it'll come down all the way, and you just can adjust them up 1 click at a time to the position that you like. If you get it too far, just raise it all the way up and lower it back down. You can start over. If you just want them up out of the way, simply store them up there. This lever here on the side releases the back so that you can adjust the back, and then when you release it, it locks it in place. So this lever here, you release it, it will allow you to change the tilt of the seat base. This one here, if you release it, it will allow you to slide the seat base forward or backward. On the far left is a lever. It is the horizontal isolator. You can choose whether or not you want your seat to be able to move forward and backward. This bar here, if you pull it up, it will release the seat so that you can move it forwards or backwards. You can rotate it around, and when it gets in the forward position, it will lock in place. You do want to make sure that you have these seats in a position. There's a lot of adjustments on here, and you don't want to have it adjusted to the point where it would rub on anything back here. Same with when you're rotating it around. If you want to rotate it around, you want to get it in a position and jockey it around so that it will rotate without damaging the fabric when you rotate it. Here on the ceiling, the living room area, is the smoke detector, and you can push this button right here to test it. It should alarm. There is also a little clip right here on the side that you can get to access the battery. If it does not alarm when you test it, you should replace the battery and then recheck it.
So moving over into the living room area, we have our Bose speaker in the overhead. It does have a remote control. You can pair this to the television or Bluetooth separately on another device. Below the speaker, you've got your storage and your audio-visual cabinet here, the satellite connection and the Blu-ray DVD connections, and 120 volt outlets in the back. More storage here. And we have our TV lift here that is operated from any one of the panels. So we'll lift that TV up with the panel on the opposite side of the room. Each television has its own remote control. To watch the television, you'll have to turn it on and scan for channels over the air, and you'll have to make sure that your television antenna is turned on for scanning over the air channels. And then to watch cable, you'll have to make sure that the antenna is turned off so that you can scan your cable channels. So with our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here, and now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wine guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels. Yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the wine guard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air wine guard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. and you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. So the love seat sofa folds out into a bed. You'll need to remove the cushions off the back and then fold it out. There's a black strap that you lift up to release. You'll pull up to release and then fold out, and the legs automatically come down. And then fold the back down into a bed. And just the opposite of that to stow it. Moving over into the kitchen area, we have our overhead storage here and cabinets here. There is a sliding drawer in this cabinet. And here you can see this black case comes with your coach. And inside, you've got all of your owner's operators manuals, along with your plumbing, heating, air conditioning, exterior, electrical, and appliance information, along with the warranty registration information here. If you see an additional gray box labeled SpaceX, that's just an additional router. There is a plastic folder with more of your Freightliner information and operator's guide. And on the inside of the doors are your country club and paint information. At the end of the slide is the touch panel, the same as the one we showed you for controlling the television and functions. Same exact size and functions. Once you press the home screen, you can see all of the options you have. Below that, we have our sink. With removable covers. Drawer louvers for heating. Pull drawer for our trash receptacle. And more storage. And the large drawer here above the dishwasher, we have all of your remote controls, along with key fobs, more information, and electronic plugs. This is your wrench, filter wrench for your whole house filter. We'll show you that later. And your Fisher Paykel dishwasher. The door remains locked when it's turned off. There's no LED lights. That means that the door is locked. When you turn it on, you can hear the door unlocking, and now you can open it. Before you travel, you want to make sure it's turned off so that it's locked. So if you turn it off, now the door is locked. There is a child safe lock here. So if you want the dishwasher to be locked for all functions, press the lock icon and you'll see the red lock appear To unlock it for use again, just press it and hold for a couple seconds and it will go out. Now I can operate the dishwasher again. But again, if you're traveling, turn it off so that the door locks so it doesn't slide when you're traveling. Just above that drawer is our cooktop with removable covers. The removable covers have a cutting board on the back side on both covers. And the true induction cooktop has to have a pan that is magnetic. So once the pan is put on either one of these burners, you'll be able to turn it on just by touching, and then you can adjust your temperature where you want. If you don't put a pan on after you turn it on, it will automatically turn off, just like it did there. This is a cooktop that's removable, so you can take it outside if you like. You just lift on both the left and the right side, lift straight up, and there's a plug. You just unplug it, and you can take it outside if you like. Then when you're finished, just put it back, plug it in, put it back. Make sure it's cooled down before you put your covers back on. So opposite of the TV, you've got your theater seating, overhead storage above in these cabinets. The theater seating has storage in the center. Just lift, and there's a sliding tray here for storage. The cup holders have the controls for the seats here and here to open the footrest and tilt and lean the chair back. And then the one in the center closes it. There's a light on the end for on and off. And there's a charging port for USB. So on the left side is your touch panel to operate the lighting and the other functions in the coach. If you press the home screen, you can view all of the instruments that you can control. It's the same control as the larger 10-inch panel, except this one's just a smaller 5-inch. So we're over here at the dinette now, and we've got our cabinets in the overhead for storage. Our shade is controlled with the electric motor and the panels. The table will extend out for additional occupancy. If you pull it all the way out, there's a leg that extends down, and then this will support the end of the table and the extra weight. Then you have underneath the bed in the bedroom are your extra leaves. So I'll get one. And there are two. You can either add one or two. If you're just going to add one, just lift up and slide the table in to lock it in place. When you're finished, lift, pull out. You can remove the leaf to store it. Then lift the end of the table up and fold the leg back up, and magnets will hold it in place. Underneath the seats are two drawers on both sides that you can pull out for more storage. And in the center, on the back, is a small cabinet, and behind that panel are your additional control modules with small storage space in front of it. There are 2 extra chairs underneath the bed so that when you bring your table out for more space or just want a third person here at the end, you can use your extra chairs. Behind the dining area, you've got your refrigerator. It's a triple door water dispensing refrigerator, stainless steel Whirlpool. It has a additional safety lock that Newmar adds here that can be slid to the right or left. When it's slid to the back of the coach or to the left, it's locked. In other words, it locks all 3 doors so that when you're traveling, the doors won't come open. When you come to your destination, just slide the lock to the right and that unlocks your doors. This is a freezer compartment with your ice tray. The ice maker is in the back. It has a bail arm. If the bail arm is up, it won't make ice. So if you want the ice maker to be making ice, just flip that bail arm down after you slide the tray in to make ice. You'll need to install your water filter when you first get your refrigerator. On the back top right side, just lift the water filter cover up and then slide the filter in and then close the door. There are additional filters inside the refrigerator drawer. They're for fresh air flow in the back. Those filters can be replaced in the back there. So the produce filter goes in this canister, and the air filter for the refrigerator goes in the back one. To turn the refrigerator on and off, the 2 refrigerator temp buttons are pressed and held down for a couple seconds, and that turns the refrigerator on. Now you can use those temperature buttons to turn more snowflakes on for colder and less for warmer freezer temp. Same with the refrigerator temp. More is colder and 1 or 2 is on the lower temperature for the refrigerator. If you do replace the air filter, you can hold this button down for 3 seconds. That clears the memory, and then it will tell you when it needs to be replaced. Same with the water filter. If you hold that for 3 seconds, it will reset that you've replaced it. To dispense water, just press. Make sure your water pump is on, otherwise you won't have any water coming through, or you're hooked to city water pressure. To turn the refrigerator off, just press and hold the same 2 buttons that you press to turn it on, and it will turn off. And you'd want to have the refrigerator turned off for storage. Just beside, to the left of the refrigerator, is your pantry. Your drawers are locked until you push in to unlock. The drawers are adjustable. They can be moved up or down depending on how much height you want between each one. And the separators at the bottom can be moved left or right to make the space the best size for you. And there is additional storage on your left here. The overhead louvers that you see here where the air comes through for your air conditioning and for your heat pump heating has filters on the passenger side that need to be cleaned weekly if you're living in the coach. And Newmar includes a special tool to drop this panel down on the passenger side. So if you put the tool in and turn it, then you pull down to release away from the magnet. You can see the magnets here that hold that panel up. And you can see the louvers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the front and 4 in the rear. So what you'll have to do is reach up, grab a hold of that louver. This is the filter, and it's held in with that small clip. So you'll remove that, and you'll clean this filter with warm soapy water and let it air dry. After it's dry, just put it back on and then reinstall it just by a push, and the clips will hold it in place. This is where the air comes out through the vents, but this is the return air. And they need to be cleaned not only in this area, but in the rear of the coach. In the bedroom area, there's the same assembly that needs to be pulled down, and those filters will need to be removed and cleaned the same way. When you're finished, just reach up and push up, and the magnets will hold it in place. At the entrance door, in the overhead cabinet, is a lift door, and a majority of your controls are in this panel. So we'll start from the left and work our way to the right on each one of these and just give you a brief description of what they do. The first one here on the left is your Girard awning for your patio awnings control. To turn it on or off, we would need to unlock it here. The unlock button is there, and then it shows a channel number. For the front awning is 1 and the rear awning is 2. And we can scroll to that second awning to control the rear one, or if we want to control both awnings at the same time, we scroll to channel 0. So 1 is the front, 2 is the rear, and 0 would be both awnings at the same time. If we do that, we can control just by simply pressing in, stop, or out. So if you're controlling it from the inside, you may want to have a spotter out there to make sure that your awnings aren't going to be extending into any objects, trees, other coaches. When you're done with this control, you can put it back in the lock position if you like. That way it's locked and it won't open or close until you unlock it. The control beside that is your over-the-air antenna. In order for you to receive over-the-air channels on your TV, you have to turn that on. It will scan like it is now. It's scanning for channels. And then it will find how many are available for where you're parked. We're in a building, so it's only picking up a couple, but if you were outside, it would pick up quite a few more. You can make small adjustments to the antenna here, left or right. And if you want to, a rescan to try to find more channels, you can press the upper right, and it will go through a secondary search. If you want to watch cable TV, you'll have to turn this off in order to receive cable channels, and then you'll have to scan for cable channels on your TV as well. So again, this should be on for watching over-the-air channels, but off like that for watching cable. The panel beside it is your Victron inverter panel control. It also gives you the status of what the grid is providing you for power, what your AC loads are, whether the charger is in float or bulk charging. This panel will only control the inverters on and off if you've turned the inverters on at the switch, that the icon in the center here. There's a on-off panel on the actual inverter, and we'll show you where those are a little bit later, but those have to be turned on or up in order for this panel to give you those controls. To get to the menu for this control, you have to touch the screen and release. And it's not lightning fast, but you touch it and release, you'll see the menu pop up. Then you press the menu button, and you can go scroll up or down after you press, let's say, settings. Now you can scroll up or down and go into those settings and make changes. Like, for instance, if I wanted to connect my panel to Wi-Fi, I would touch Wi-Fi and go to Wi-Fi network. And then I can decide whether I want to connect to that Wi-Fi network. The advantage of that would be if I wanted to get assistance from a service provider to diagnose my inverters via the internet. So that's a neat feature that Newmar offers with the Victron panel control. To get back to the main page, just press the menu button. To get back to the main page, press the Pages button, and you're back to the main screen. And there are 2 selections for pages on that screen. Our second row of controls are the driver's side awning, passenger side awning. These are window awnings. The Wi-Fi router, which is here, we need to have that turned on in order for the router to be powered up. The entrance lock and unlock for your entrance door here. You can hear it lock when you press it. The baggage door lock here. Our step cover, which is right here at our steps, is actually a straight floor that comes out. When we press that step cover, if you look down, you'll be able to see that the cover extends out and comes up and it locks into place. So now I can walk in this living room area and kitchen area without worrying about the steps. So when we want to store that again, we just go back to the step cover, press and hold until it retracts. The exterior step switch keeps the step from retracting once we turn that on. The BMS button here stays illuminated as long as the batteries are connected to the coach. If at any time, or let's say we're not plugged in, if this light would go out, that means that the battery for the house has disconnected from powering up the coach. That typically means that you're on your last 10% of power coming out of the house battery. So you can press this button again and it comes on, but you'll have to remember, if you have to press this to have your house batteries power up your coach, you're on your last 10% of power, and you should either plug your coach in or turn your generator on. Beside that control is your HWH leveling. This is for leveling the coach after you've operated your slide outs in or out. So leveling always takes place after the slide outs have been extended or retracted, the ignition key has to be turned on for this power to come on. You can see here it's not coming on if I press auto level, but if I go up front, I'll do that really quick. I'll turn on the ignition. Now you can see when I turned on the ignition at the keys, I now have my LEDs lit up, and I can press this and it will go into the auto leveling. So now my jacks are going to extend. Just before they extend, all of the air goes out of the airbags. The coach drops down, and then the jacks go down to the ground and it levels. If you prefer to level your coach with the manual buttons here, you can do that. When you can see now that the rear jacks have extended because I have the red LED lights on. As the other jacks extend in the front too, then I'll get the red LED lights there. As you can see, they came on. Again, you just want to remember to level the coach after you've either extended or retracted your slide out rooms. So we're level now. If we want to store the jacks, we can do that simply by hitting the auto store. Anytime the coach is slightly off level, you're going to see the amber lights come on. Once the jacks are completely retracted, the red lights will go out. The loud warning sound that you hear in the background is to let you know the jacks are down and you wouldn't want to move your coach. Once the last red LED light goes out, the warning goes off, and now you're in travel mode. After you start your coach and it fully airs up, then you'll be able to travel. Once I turn the ignition off, this panel will turn off all of the LED lights. Our bottom row of controls, starting at the left, is your battery disconnect. This switch connects the house batteries to power all the items in your house that are 12 volt. If we press this, our lights will go out and this red LED light will go out and we won't have power in the house anymore. That's how you would typically store your coach. Or if you're going to leave your coach set for a day or two, you want to have that battery disconnect turned off. Our next set of controls here are labeled exterior lights for your security lights, patio light, exterior LED, and our slide out controls here operate the slide on the driver's side, which is behind me, and the passenger side slide, which is just to my left. In or out. Out is extend, in is retract. Before you before you operate your slides in or out, you want to be on your air ride, or you want to have the engine started and the coach aired up, and that's when you would run your slides in or out. Our last control switch is the HWH, which is the step or the jack's master reset switch. If you press the switch and you hold it down for 5 seconds, it resets the HWH system completely. On the far left is the router. This is a Wi-Fi router, and it will connect all of your devices if it's turned on and powered up. If you recall, this has to be turned on for the router to have power. This is connected to the antenna that receives Wi-Fi signals on the roof. So here at the entrance door, either when you're exiting or entering, we put a light switch here for your ceiling lights, either all on or off. Just below the light switch is your fire extinguisher with a quick release here. To release the fire extinguisher, just pull and then lift it out, pull the pin, and then you would be able to press down with your thumb to spray at the base of the fire. We'll go through the entrance door locks when we go on the outside. Right here, there's an exterior step switch override. If the exterior steps were not extending, this switch would completely override the system and it would force the steps to go out. So if the steps are not moving, stuck in or out or halfway, this is the override, which would push the steps all the way out so you can exit or enter.
So we're going to look at the 10-inch user interface panel located near the center of the coach. If the screen is black, it means it's went to sleep. Just touch it anywhere, it'll open up. So this is the home screen. Everything you can do on this panel, you can do on the 5-inch panels, and everything that you can do on the 5-inch panels, you can do on this panel. They're laid out a little bit different, and they're a little bit easier to get to because you don't have to go through as many pages on this one. But from the home screen, you can turn on your water pump. You can activate your water fill or your top off. You can see your tank levels. You can see your house and chassis battery levels. You can also see your climate and what it's set at, and if it's on or off. You can also turn on ceiling lights all on or off here. You can do the shades, living room, day or night shades, and that'll operate all of them right here on the home screen. You can lock and unlock your cargo or your entry door locks right there. So it's just a bigger screen. You can get to more stuff on one screen, on the home screen, and then you can still go into these separate icons here and get more detailed stuff like we were going over on the 5-inch. So from the climate screen, you can select living room, bathroom, or bedroom, and you can turn on the AC or adjust the fans and the temperature in each zone separately if you wish. The Oasis, it's laid out right here on each one of them. You don't have to look for it. And then you can turn on your AC element 1 or 1 and 2 as well. Once you turn on your Oasis, the status shows over here on what's going on with it. You can also go into setup. There's a few things that's nice about setup. There's the setup information you got going on here, but there's 4 more screens here, so don't forget about those. So on this one here, you can enable stuff, your climate or your AGS or your programs, whatever you want. In the clock section, this is where you'll actually set the time of the day and the date. Then set program is going to be where you are doing day, night, or ECO. Once you go into ECO, ECO will let you adjust this here temperature difference from 5-degree difference, 2-degree difference, up to a 15-degree difference. So if you have your ECO on and somebody's adjusted this to 15 degrees, if you're on cooling, it's going to get 15 degrees warmer than your setting before it kicks in. If you're on heating, it's going to get 15 degrees colder than your setting before it kicks in and warms it up. So it's supposed to be a way you can save some energy, maybe when you're not at home or whatever. Personally, I don't want my temperature to vary that much, but it is available for you to do. Set week allows you to go in and set the days of the week that you want different temperatures with your climate. Moving on to the shades screen, the shades will allow you to do the shades in an individual room, or you can use the all night or all day shade functions over here on this side. Once you go into a different room, your options change a little bit based on the room and how many shades are in there. Moving on to the fans icon. This will allow you to turn the vent fans on in the kitchen, bathroom, or half bath. Once you turn the power on, you can adjust them from high, medium, or low. It also has the rain override button on it. If there's moisture accumulated on the rain sensor and it won't power on because of that, you can hit the rain override and still power your fan on. It will not close if it's on rain override if it starts raining out. So you want to make sure that if there's rain in the forecast, you don't have your rain override switch turned on. Your floor heat will allow you to control the floor heat in the front, middle, or rear section of the coach. Once you turn the power on, you can select from high, medium, or low. You can do that for each zone individually. Once you're done, just turn them off. The power screen will be on coaches with lithium batteries. It will show you what's going on with leg 1 and leg 2 and the amperage being used there. It'll also show you if your inverters are turned on and your chargers are turned on. Gives you chassis battery voltage and house voltage, as well as the amperage and state of charge on your house batteries. Systems will do the energy management system. Right now we're plugged into 220 volt 50 amp service, so nothing is going to be shed. If we were plugged into 110 volt 30 amp or less circuit, we would want to, if we were plugged into 30 amps, it's fine. It's going to default to 30 amps, and then it's going to shed these loads according to the 30 amp available power. If you're plugged into anything less than 30 amps, you need to come in here and manually select the lower amperage, and then it will shed these loads accordingly to try to keep you from blowing the breaker. In the solar screen, if you have solar installed on the coach from the factory, this will be set up and it will show what's going on with the solar system. The generator screen will allow you to start and stop the generator right here. It will also show you the status. If it's running, it will show you the temperature and the RPMs of the generator. Will also show you if the gen slide has been activated, and if the gen slide had been activated, it would be locked out. Over here on this side, it will show you what the demand was that started the generator on automatic gen start if it started, and it will also show you the status here. If the generator's running, it will be lit up. If it's during quiet time or it's plugged into shore power and it's not letting the generator start due to shore power, it will show that as well. Over here on the power side, you have the AGS on and off and quiet time on and off. And then you can go into setup where you can set the duration for the generator to run based on it kicking on a house battery or a chassis battery. And then also you can go in and set under quiet, you can set up what your quiet times are for the RV park that you're camping in. Under the exterior, you can go in and turn on your driver or passenger security lights, or your rear security light, or your bedroom awning light. Also will allow you to lock the doors, the entry or the cargo doors, or you can lock all of them at once with the master switch. This also shows you the status of the doors on the coach, the exterior doors on the coach, and if they're open or not. Under the lighting icon, take you to the lighting page where you can select, much like on the shades, the living room, kitchen, bedroom, half bath, or the bathroom. And the lights that the available lights to turn on and off will change based on what room that you have selected. There are master ceiling lights all on and off as well, so you can use those as well to turn on or off the lights. The icon here for the sun allows you to dim this page or make it brighter. If you dim it all the way down, you just touch it again, it'll come back on, but allows you to dim the screen down. The Bluetooth icon here will walk you through the instructions on how to connect your phone or iPad, any smart device that is Bluetooth compatible. You can connect by following these instructions, downloading the Newmar app, and then pairing it. Once you do that, if you have your app open on your phone, you'll be able to control everything from your phone or your iPad, just like this panel.
One important thing about your plug, when you're plugged in your shore cord, if your shore cord is going to be plugged into a smaller cheater type cord, which Newmar doesn't really recommend, but sometimes you have to plug it into something smaller than 30 amp, you'll need to go to the power section here and then go to systems. When you get to the systems, you're going to want to turn on your EMS here and then come over to the amperage selection. And then if you're plugged into a cord that's 15 amps, press that to turn on 15, or press it again to scroll down to whichever size that you're connected to if it's less than 50 amps. The reason that you have to do that is because the system doesn't recognize less than a 30 amp connection. So just remember, turn on the EMS, the blue line comes on, and then select the cord size that you're plugged into by looking at the breaker on the pole. If it's 15 amps, select 15. Then when you plug back into 50, you'll have to come back in here and select 50. But just remember, the system doesn't select the size of cord that you're plugged into. You have to manage your energy by turning on your energy management system. So here at the entrance, we have the inner vac where you can sweep into this location just by here, or you can connect your accessories at this location. There is a yellow tag warning just to be sure that you installed your filter in the downstairs unit, and the filter bag needs to be installed before you'd want to connect your accessories or use this to sweep the floor. In the baggage compartment, you have your Intervac accessory kit. And this is the control handle here. The way it works is, as soon as this is plugged in, you'll have to remove the sticker here and then plug this in. Now we can turn on the Intervac with this button right here. On and off. There is a battery in here. If you need help on what type of battery, how to change it, there's a QR code. You can look that up. But the hose and other accessories are all in this kit. for floor sweeping or any other type of cleaning you like to do with your inner vac system. When you're done with it, just lift up, pull out, and close. Oh, yeah. In addition to the vacuum system, there is a floor sweep that goes into the same vacuuming system. If this is opened, you can sweep dirt here, and that will go into the vacuum that's in the baggage area. And we'll show that later. So you can use manual floor sweep here, or you can plug in your hose and vacuum with the accessory kit. Moving into the half bathroom, push and rotate to the right. The half bath has a wall lighting panel switch here. As I move in, it's on the left side. The cabinet on the back wall is our breakers and fuses for the coach. On the right-hand side, we've got each one of the breakers is labeled for what it controls. The main breaker is the one that comes in on your shore cord for power. As long as this one's turned on, which is towards the center, then these will operate. So if this one's off or to the left, then you won't be able to have power to any of your appliances. They're labeled dishwasher, cooktop, washer, dryer, inverter, middle air conditioner, and on down each side. If you happen to trip one of these breakers, it will most likely be about halfway over. It may not be all the way over, like to the left. So if you see one that's just slightly to the left, you'll have to push it all the way to the left and then back to the right to reset that appliance. In that case, it would be the water heater. These breakers are similar, but these are the breakers that are powered up through the inverters. The two inverters, inverter 1 and inverter 2, operate these appliances. In this case, inverter 1 is operating the passenger slide out, the driver's side slide out, the front air conditioner. The main switch for power in is this one, so as long as this one's on, you'll be able to have power to these. Same with inverter 2. If the main is on or up, you'll have power to your microwave, bed, bath, and basement, and refrigerator. Below those two sub panels, we've got your GFCIs for your floor heat. If any of the GFCI breakers in the kitchen are tripped, you'll need to reset those. Same with the floor heat. If these trip, you can see the red button says reset. So you can just reset it. If it's tripped, just push it to reset it. You can see the small LED light on the left. If I reset it, it comes on. If I press it, it goes out. So if you don't see that green LED light on, press the red to reset. On the left here are additional modules that control different functions, along with our Wi-Fi for our touch panel. You can connect your phone to this ATC net. The instructions for connection are on the main panel for the house. And then you'll be able to use either your phone or smart device to operate the functions that you see on your 10-inch panel, all from that phone or iPad or laptop. The fuses are all labeled with a number, a letter and a number, and those letter and numbers correspond to the name here on the left. So these fuses are the ones you see labeled here. If one of these is blown or one of these names is not working, let's say that your patio light wasn't working here, it's F4. Go to F4, which is here, pull that fuse. If it's blown, then you'd want to get a new one, same size, typically the same color, and replace it. Here above the sink, we have more cabinet space. We have our Starlink connections here for our Starlink on the roof. We have our medicine cabinet and mirror here. And we have the touch panel control here on my left. This is the same as the one in the living room and the kitchen. Touch the home, and then you can scroll to any one that you have for operating TVs, shades, lights, or climate. Below that, you have your sink, hot water, cold control. More drawer space here and cabinet space below. The Dometic flush control has a blue button to add water to the bowl. So if I want the water level in the bowl to come up, I would press the top one. And if I want to flush, I would press the bottom one. There is a green LED light that shows that it's powered up. If the green LED light is not illuminated, the blue ones will not illuminate. Below the green one is a tank level indicator. Right now, the tank is empty, but if it would reach about 70% full, this illuminates orange or amber color. If the tank for the black tank is completely full, then you will see this light turn red. If the light is red, you won't be able to flush the toilet, and you'd have to empty your black tank before you could flush again. On the ceiling here in the bathroom, we have our discharge vent for heating and cooling, but we also have the fantastic vent. It has a cover, and these clips line up with the locks on each end. If for some reason you aren't able to turn this fan on with the wall panel switch, you could actually open it manually just by turning this here. So you can open it manually and then close it manually. There is a fuse. If you pull the fuse, you can check it. If for any reason it's blown, pull it out, put a new fuse in, reinsert it, and turn. Once I close this, the fan will shut off. The decorative panel, louver cover, lines up, and just push to lock. So as we enter into the bedroom, we have a sliding door. Right now it's locked in the travel position or travel mode. To unlock it and close the bedroom door, we just push down. You can see the arrow showing the arrow down. Just push down, it unlocks. Now we can close. Both doors will move over and lock at the left side here. You can hear the lock. So now the doors are locked. They won't move over until I push down again to unlock, and then move the doors back over to the right. Once I do that, you can hear the doors lock again, and that's back in the travel position. Just in front of that is our CO2 detector. There's a CO2 detector here in the bedroom. The smoke detector is at the front of the coach. As you enter in on the right-hand side, there's another 5-inch touch panel control. It operates the same as the ones in the front half of the coach, has all the same icons. Above that, you've got your slide out in and out, and you have an awning on the outside for extend and retract. That's a window awning. Closet space here. Below that, we have our drawers. Our AV cabinet here. Our AV cabinet has 120 volt plugs in the back, and it has the connections here for the Blu-ray DVD and or satellite if we have that installed. Just below the TV, we have an emergency exit window. The instructions on how to use it are here. Basically is unlocking both of the red locks here. Now our window can be pushed out to exit. More closet space here for hanging clothes and drawers below. Depending on the floor plan, this area may have the washer and dryer located here rather than in the full bath in the back of the coach. So we're over here on the bedside slide area. We've got our nightstands. Each of the nightstands has a door that opens and a small opening at the top of the door. So you don't need to have the door opening. If you needed to plug something in here, it would go through the top here, and then you could plug it into your 120 volt plug here. Or if you want your USB charging plug, it has one right on the 120 volt plug. So you can plug your chargers in here with the cord coming out without opening the door on both sides. In the overhead, we have more storage. On the left side, there is a plastic plug that can be removed in the event that you wanted to run a cord up from here or have a cord run down 120 volt either way, so that you could use a device like a CPAP machine here. And there's the same port on the opposite side. As you're laying in bed, when you're looking up towards the bottom of these cabinets, there's another 5-inch touch panel. So you'll be able to control all the functions that the 10-inch or the other 5-inch panels control for lighting or turning any other of the appliances or devices off right here above the bed. On each side of the end wall, there's a small window that has a screen. To release the lock on that, just flip to the right, and then you can lift up and the window self-locks. Of course, you have the screen there. To bring the window down, the locks on both sides have to be released, and then the window will go down. Then just relock. The storage area on this side is the same as the opposite side with the plastic plug that you can open to bring cords down here for charging or powering up devices. The bed has storage underneath the chairs, the table leaf. So to get to that, just lift the bed up. The pistons will hold it while you access the chairs or the table leaves. And you can add other things in this area for more storage. There are two small holes on both sides of this panel because these panels can actually be removed after a couple screws are taken out for access to the controls, electric and or motor controls underneath this bed. When you're finished, just push down, hold the bottom so it doesn't go down too fast, and then lower it. So as you enter the rear bath, these cabinet doors open to the washer and dryer. The dryer's at the top, on-off switch temperature settings. And the washing machine is down here. Obviously, you'll have to have your water pump or city water connected and turned on to do the wash. But there is a notice that we put here to remove the outside drain cap before operating the washing machine. So that's the gray cap, the gray tank release. And then you want to have your sewer hooked up because the gray tank is the water tank that's going to be filling with the water that comes out of your washing machine. So that gray tank is going to be getting full. And if it gets over full, the water will back up into your shower. We don't want that. So you just want to make sure to have your sewer drain connected and the gray tank valve open so that all of the water that's exiting out of the washing machine goes out the sewer drain. Our cabinet beside that is our safe and more hanging clothes space. There is a compartment for storage underneath this door. Just lift and there's a large space for storage below that. The medicine cabinet has two glass doors, 120 volt outlet on the back wall, sink, hot and cold, on and off, another 120 volt outlet here, and more storage below. The shower has a shower miser. The shower miser has a glass or see-through display just above the hot and cold, and this display is what will change colors. So first thing that you need to do is turn your aqua miser or shower miser on with the touch panel control here. So if we go here, we can to our home page. So if we go to the lights icon, now we can see over on the bottom right, it says aqua miser. So if we turn that on, you can see the blue light or blue line comes on, and the blue light comes on the aqua miser. So what that's going to do is when you turn the water on here, there's a handle at the bottom here that goes into recirculate or on. So the arrows that show a continuous loop should be turned on, or this handle over here while this is on, so that the water is not going out of the shower. It's actually going through here. And when this turns red, then the water is hot. Once the water is hot, this is red, then you'll turn this lever to the left, and then you can make your selection here and adjust your water temperature for either the handle or the shower. When you're finished with the shower, when you're finished with your shower, you'll turn the aquamizer off. And whenever you're winterizing the coach or filling the water tank, you want to make sure that this lever is not in the recirculate, but over here to the on position. So whenever you're not using the aquamizer, you want to have this lever over to the on position and not recirculate. The shower doors have a lock here. So after your shower is over, you'll close or open the door all the way, but make sure you lock this so that when you're traveling, these doors won't be sliding back and forth. There's additional cabinet space here on the back wall, and our Dometic flush control is the same as the one in the forward bath. So as a part of your pre-trip inspection, you'll want to open the front engine compartment. There's two release mechanisms right here. If you reach in, you can see there's a handle that you pull down. Once you pull that down, then you have to release the lower hook and then lift up. I already did that on the other side. So then you go to the front and you pull it down. It's a bit heavy, so you'll have to grab with both hands to pull down. And once it's all the way open, it locks into place. There's a locking mechanism right here so that I have to press that down to unlock it to close that hood. But this is where you want to inspect before you travel. Wiper washer solution fill, just a general overall view of your filters and your other areas. Make sure you don't have any leaks. And then come around. Well, here you can see this is a pressurized system, so obviously you won't want to open those if the engine's already warmed up. It gives the levels of cold fill here and cold minimum here for your engine coolant. This is where you would add your oil after you pull your dipstick to check if you need to add. Obviously, it would be on the lower levels of your oil dipstick, and then you would add it here. This is your power steering, and it gives you the minimum maximum levels here. This is your fuel canister and filter here. There is a drain port at the bottom of this. If you suspect or you just simply want to drain that before you go on a trip to make sure to see if there's any water, you can take a small cup or container to hold under there. Give yourself a little bit of the fluid, would drain out, and see if you have any water in the system. Just a general overall inspection here. Then when you're finished, again, you'll have to go on the other side, press the yellow handle. I'll go do that, and then I'll lower the hood back down. This is the handle that you want to press down to unlock. So now I can close the hood. And then once you close the hood, you'll want to latch this lower hook down, and you'll have to push in, latch it, and then push up to lock on both sides. We went inside the coach and we turned on the light test button on the center front dash. And what that does is it turns on all the lights so that you can walk around the coach and make sure that your marker lights come on, turn signal lights are working, and your headlights. So if you see one of these lights that's not coming on, that's typically a bulb that you'll have to replace. You'd want to do that before you travel. When you're done checking all your lights, front and rear, just go in on the dash and turn off that test button. Here at the front of the hood, we have our front camera, and below that is our collision mitigation system. This is tied into the dash, and it gives you the ability to have adaptive cruise, and you want to make sure that this area stays clean and nothing's blocking this area. If you have ice or snow on this, you'll have to clean that off in order for the collision mitigation system to operate. So here on the sides of both doors are your mirrors. They are adjustable and they are heated. So those adjustments are made on the inside at the driver's side. You adjust each mirror independent of one another, and you can turn on the mirror heat. We'll show you that when we go inside. There's another side camera here. This is the camera that comes on when you make a turn to the right. As this is on the passenger side, there's a camera just like this on the opposite side that comes on when you make a turn signal so that you can see in the lane that you have the signal on for. The mirror above the door is a manual adjust mirror so that you can see down in this area here from the driver or passenger seat. The key for the locking of the door is the same on both sides. So our first compartment door on the passenger side, these are push to open. You can see as it opens, then you can just move it the rest of the way. There's some towing accessories here in the first compartment along with the storage. And to close these doors, you don't slam them, you just touch and then they pull in by themselves. So if the red light is not illuminated, to get the locks to have power on, you have to unlock the baggage doors. Once you hit the unlock of the baggage doors, these should illuminate, and then you'll be able to operate the doors. Second compartment back is your HWH pump and controls. There is a slide tray that if you need to service the HWH, you can unlock. Both sides, and then this tray will open. Of course, you'd have to loosen the tie strap, but anyway, that's how you would service this unit. If you're done servicing, checking the fluids, then you want to lock it back with the pins on both sides. Again, push to close, but don't slam. Our third door back is our Oasis. This is a hydronic heater for your hot water and for your hot air in the coach. This unit is a diesel burner and will continue to operate in the diesel mode as long as there's a quarter of a tank of diesel fuel in the main tank. If you drop below a quarter of a tank, then the diesel burner part will not operate. You'll still be able to operate it on the two heating elements, just not the burner. In order for this system to work, you have to have the first LED light lit up green by turning this on. If that is not turned on and the first light is dark, this system will not work on either the burner or the heating elements. If you turn it off, you'll notice the combustion fan comes on momentarily. After the combustion fan runs for about a minute or so, it will turn off and none of these lights will be illuminated. If any of the lights on the lower half are lit up red, whether that's the igniter, flame out, voltage, or low water, there's a fault with one of those devices. So if you see a red light, you should check whichever one is on or have it serviced. If any one of the other ones is flashing green instead of solid green, then those should be checked. For instance, if my fuel pump was flashing green instead of a solid green, I would have to have my fuel pump serviced. There are other lights associated with the operation of this system. On the back side wall, there's a panel. You can see from this view, the lights are green on that panel. If any one of those lights turn red, I would need to have this unit serviced. There are fuses in that panel that can be replaced. Again, just be sure this is turned on so you have power here. And then these should be solid green if they're operating. Flashing green, they need service, or any of the lower half red, they would need service. Our next compartment back is our pegboard compartment. This is for storage. There is your freshwater tank behind here, and it's got a drain, fresh tank drain. If we need to winterize the coach, we'd want to drain all the water out of the fresh tank by opening this up to drain the water out here. Once it's empty, the tank will stop draining, then we can close it and then winterize. So in our next compartment back, we have our basement freezer. The basement freezer can be operated as a refrigerator or freezer. It has two functions of operation, 12 volt or 120. So if both of these are plugged in and the sense is plugged in, it will select between the 12 volt or the 120 volt, whichever you have available. It always selects the 120 volt when available, like if you're plugged into shore cord. To add our food, we just open this, and then we can adjust our temperature settings here for colder setup, and it gives you even additional operation for Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. If you want to learn more about how to connect to your phone or smart device with the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, the QR code is right here that you can scan. The Trimark door handle, which is right there beside the entrance door, can be reset to the code that you want it to be. We'll cover that, but when you get your coach, the entrance code is 123441. To reset that, I would want to use this small push button and press that, and then the door handle will start to beep. When I enter my new code twice, then I reset this to my new code. Just to the right of that is your battery solenoid for the charge bridge, house batteries, and chassis batteries. bridge, and the light here goes out automatically when I close the door. This compartment door is the entertainment center. It has a lock, which is the purple key. Once it's unlocked, we just lift and open. The TV can be moved and tilted or turned. It has a Bose speaker that plays through the TV or independently if we Bluetooth to our smart device. And on the side of the TV, we have a USB and USB-C charging ports along with a 120 volt plug. When we're finished with the adjustment of the TV, just push it back and place, and the magnets will hold it there. So we're here at the entrance door, and the steps are behind this cover plate, which opens here. So when you open the door, you just want to be standing just slightly back. In the event that the step would come out and someone was standing here or something was here, there is a safety guard at the front step that will actually touch and stop the step. I'll demonstrate that. If the door is locked, we can either unlock it here or we can unlock the entrance door here. So entry unlock is here. So that unlocks the door here. If we wanted to unlock it with this, we would press 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. And then it unlocks it here as well. So you can use either this to unlock, that to unlock, or if we wanted to use the manual key to unlock, that would be the bottom lock. So we would use that in the bottom lock, unlock, and then we can enter in. So when the step comes out, if I'm too close, I don't move too fast, there's a safety device on the front that will stop the step. There's also a safety device underneath that if the step happens to hit something below, it will rock and it will come to a stop. So as long as you stay clear of the step, you should be good. Just back away when you open the door, let the steps come out. Now, if I want to go in and out of the coach without the steps going up and down, I can press the step override, which is in the overhead. It's called the exterior entry step rocker switch. So if I press that, now the steps will stay extended when I close the door. What it is sensing is these magnets along with the magnetic switch. So it overrides that switch. So now my steps will stay out. The door actually has two latches. A soft close latch, which is just a soft close. Now it's shut, but it's not tight. So that way I can close the door without slamming it in case someone's taking a nap. So I can do soft close without slamming, but if I'm going to travel and I want it to be sealed so that I don't hear any air noise and I want to travel, I have to close it firmly to go into that second latch. Now it's closed for travel. There is a deadbolt. The deadbolt key is the one that's labeled Trimark. The short one is just for the handle lock, which is the bottom, but the longer one that's labeled Trimark, this long one is for the deadbolt. So if you want to deadbolt it manually to lock your coach, you can do that. Just press here. Now I'm deadbolt, and I can't open that door. unlock the deadbolt. Now I can open. So one thing you want to be sure of is if you manually locked it, you don't want to close the door with that in the lock position. You want to make sure that's retracted. You can lock the door manually from the inside right here. If you don't have your key fob or your keys, you can just lock it, close the door, and now the door is locked. If I want to unlock the door and the baggage compartments at the same time, I can use the same code, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, instead of 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, and it will unlock all of the doors. To lock the door again, just press the lock button here. You can hear it lock. So you have options to either use your keys to lock and unlock. You can use your key fob to unlock and lock the door, but not the deadbolt. Or you can use the handle. So you have all the options. In case you leave your keys somewhere, you can use the handle. You can operate the locks from inside and close your doors. Just make sure that when you get your coach, you're going to change your code to your own special code that you can remember at the Trimark module that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to unlock the entrance lock here. The cargo locks are here on either side. Cargo lock, unlock. The screen door has its own lever to unlock it. So we press down and that unlocks it from this latch, so we can close the screen door independently. We can leave the main door open because it has its own latch at the top which holds it in place. So right now it's held in place unless I pull it hard, then it unlocks at the top, but if I push it, it will stay there. Now my screen door is closed. If I want to come through the screen door from the inside, I have to open this, press down here, and I can put my screen door back against the main entrance door if I like. Above the entrance door, you've got your security light, and just behind that, you've got your 360-degree camera view. And working our way back, we've got the window at the kitchen, marker lights, docking lights. Behind the rear wheel is the jack that you can check to make sure it's retracted if needed. Our slide here has a gap all the way around. This gap is called the reveal gap, and this should be fairly even on both sides and the bottom. If you're parked somewhere and you're on air and this is touching or too close, and it might touch, you want to go find a more level place to park. Security light in the center and your slide topper awning at the top. Those awnings at the top of each slide out are automatic. They open with the slide out room, and there's a cover above the roof of the slide out that keeps the rain and debris off. When you close the slide out, you want to make sure there's nothing, branches or anything else underneath the fabric, between the fabric and the roof of that slide topper. If there is, clean that out before you run your slide in. Our next compartment back, you can see that if I press the cargo unlock, the light illuminated. If I press the cargo lock, the light goes out so that nobody can open it once it's locked. So just remember, if I hit the unlock, now I can operate the door. In this compartment, we have our HVAC system. We can connect our accessories here, our hose. Our bag is behind here. We can turn the vacuum system on and off manually right here so we can clean using our accessories out here. If you'll notice in the back, there's some extra tile. Those tile match the tiles inside on your floor. They're from the same lot number, so they'll match in color in case you need to change a tile. Behind this panel, you can see some illuminated LEDs. Those are the module boards that control the functions of the 12-volt circuits on your touch panels. The touch panels operate your appliances, your lighting, and those control boards can be viewed by taking these screws loose, and then behind the smoked plexiglass is a cover. This cover can be lifted away, and you can view those panels if you need to have them serviced by a Newmar technician. This panel actually slides out to make it easier to service. This is the release. You can bring it out here. These are called FET boards. The FET boards operate your lights. And the top one is a relay board. Typically, you won't need to access this panel unless you're having an issue with one of your 12-volt appliances or lighting. There are additional plugs that are plugged in here. You can see we've labeled them. This one's the tank heating pads. There's other tan-colored modules, and those are labeled as well. When we're done with this, we just lift or push down to release and then close here. And our last compartment back is our intervac. The intervac is in this plastic here with all the accessories. These long threaded screws are used in the event that our full wall slide would not extend or retract properly. We can use these to do it manually, but you would need the help of a service technician from Newmar, Newmar Service Center. But keep those in your coach in case you would need to use those. The small white boxes here are for your awnings, the main patio awnings. If I wanted to check and make sure they're receiving power, I would look right here. There should be a red LED light on each box. As long as I see that red LED light, I will be able to come in here, and there's an open and a close button that I can open and close the Girard awnings, the patio awnings, on either the front or the rear manually. So I brought the remote control out for my awnings that looks like this. So I can control the awning with this or the manual controls at the bottom. I have number 1 on the front, number 2 in the rear. So I press the unlock button here, and it shows 0. That means both awnings will go in and out at the same time when I press out. If I press stop at any time, I can stop the awnings. If I wanted just to move the rear awning, for instance, I would select channel 2. Now I can press out, and just the rear awning will go out. Each awning has a safety feature. If the awning is extended and it starts to get too windy, the sensor in that awning will close it automatically as long as you're connected to 120 volt shore power or you've got your inverter on. Just by the simple movement of the wind, the awning senses that shaking, and the shake sensor will move the awning all the way back in. So what would happen then is if the wind was up and it was starting to shake too much, then the awning would just go in automatically like this. One thing to remember is if it's going to be raining, you don't want to leave your awnings out, because if the rain comes down too fast, the weight of the water could collapse the entire awning and damage your arms. There is a light switch. I can turn the lights on or off. If I stop it at the same point, I can now go to channel 0 and I can operate both to go in. Just don't forget to turn your lights off. So I want to go to channel 2 and hit my light switch, and that will turn that off. If I want to turn both sets of lights on, obviously I want to be in channel 0, press the light switch, and then both can be on at the same time or off. To release the rear compartment that has storage, there's a handle here. You want to grab a hold of it because it's a firm grasp, and then pull and make sure there's nothing in the way, because there's a latch on both sides, and once you pull it hard enough, both latches release. So you'll have a storage area underneath here and shelves here with a manual light switch on and off. When you're finished in this compartment, you can just push down, and there's a latch on both sides that will lock it in place. Below that, you've got your tow plug. That's your Bargman, Voyager for your cameras, and for your air connections if you have air brakes on your rear trailer. You've got your marker lights, and again, these lights can be tested just by pressing the switch on the dash for testing the lights, then just walk around the coach, and these will illuminate independently of each other, and you can check each bulb. The security light in the back is about halfway up there, and then of course you've got your marker lights, rear camera, and third brake light here. At our rear compartment on the driver's side, we've got more storage. We have an additional plug here that you can route through here to your trailer in the back. If you need power for your rear trailer, you can plug it in there. This is our generator compartment, and this is the service compartment door for the generator. We can start and stop our generator with the manual switch here. Start. And stop. The pickup tube for the diesel feed line for this unit is only 1/4 of the way down into the fuel tank for the Freightliner. So if we're at less than 1/4 of a tank, this will not operate. If you are operating this and it's running, but not getting power inside the coach, check this breaker right here. This breaker, if it's tripped, will be in the off position here. You want to make sure it's turned up, which is the on position. That way you'll get power inside. Here at the back, you've got this vent. That is for the dryer. And of course, above that, you've got a security light. And the slide topper, you can see that fabric above this full wall goes the entire length. You just want to make sure whenever you're going to close the slide, there's nothing, branches or whatever that might be in between the ceiling, top ceiling, and that fabric. So this is our water compartment bay. This is where our tanks and water controls are located. When you get your coach new, you'll get a filter. This filter is your whole house filter, and it gets installed in this canister. The wrench, the filter wrench that we had earlier, is used after we remove this lock pin. We remove that, and then we use the white filter wrench, insert here, and then turn counterclockwise to loosen this, and then we would slip this in this canister. That's going to filter all of the water that's coming through our inlet hose. When we've got our filter installed, before we turn the water on, we want to relock this and then connect our hose to a water supply. It's just a typical hose type connection. But once that's connected and we turn that water supply on, we can make the selection of either filling our freshwater tank or just having this city supply turned on. So if we want to just have the city supply, whichever this is connected, feeding the coach water, that's where we want to have it turned on to. If we want to manually fill the freshwater tank, then we select that, and that's going to fill our freshwater tank. If we want the tanks to autofill and have water in the coach, then we want to select the one at the top here. If we do select the auto tank fill, we have to go into the interior panel and turn on the auto fill function on the touch panel in order for that to autofill our tanks up to about a 90% level. We can go to our tanks here. We can turn our water pump on here or our autofill here. Whenever you turn a function on with these panels, you'll notice the line turns blue. If we press it again, the blue line goes away, just turns white. That means it's off. So if I wanted to turn my water pump on, the blue line would come on. If I press it again, it turns white, and the white means it's off. So if we're looking at this panel and we go to the home screen, we can select tanks, power, or exterior. If we select the tanks, we can view how much fluid is in each tank. We can turn the water pump, the autofill for the fresh tank, or we can press top off. If we want to just top off the fresh tank, it can do that. There is a icon on the right that we can dim. We can dim this panel. If we go to, instead of tanks, we go to power, we can turn our generator on and off here, and we can view our voltages here. If we go to exterior, we can see our exterior lights, security lights here. We can turn those security lights on and off. Just above this panel is the winterizing instructions. Before you winterize, you want to remove this filter. If you want to reuse it, you can. But if you follow these steps from the top down, you'll be able to use this winterizing pickup tube. When this cap is taken off and this tube is inserted in potable antifreeze, you follow these instructions by turning on or off these T-valves to winterize. What that does is it pulls the potable solution through the hose by turning on your water pump. So when I turn my water pump on, it's going to draw the antifreeze into the coach, water lines. And again, following these instructions, draining the low point first is the way you want to winterize. When you're finished winterizing, you want to put the cap back on, stow our hose away, and then put these back in the original positions that they were. This is the outside shower. This is the handle for adjusting water temp. So you can rinse your hands out here and then just put this back where it was. If I want to drain the tanks, I've got a black tank to drain or a gray tank. Those are controlled with these two rocker switches. It's a power type valve to open and close. But I would first want to connect our drain through the SaniCon hose or through the main hose going through here. So I make a selection. Do I want to use the SaniCon to drain my coach? Or do I want to use my big hose? And then I would make the connection with the big hose here if I wanted. So in this case, I'm going to choose my SaniCon. I'm going to drop my SaniCon hose through the floor here. And I'm going to connect it to the sewer drain outside. So I'll stretch this over, take the cap off, the large one or the small, put that into the sewer. So now I'm ready to drain my tanks. Before I start the SaniCon up, our RV SaniCon switch is here. So before I turn this on, I want to make sure to open this gate valve for the SaniCon by pulling it towards me. That opens the SaniCon. After I open the SaniCon, then I turn it on here. You can hear it operating. Once the SaniCon is turned on, then I can select black tank or gray tank to drain. If I press that valve, that's going to open that black tank valve and it'll go through the SaniCon into the sewer. I like to drain my black tank first and then follow up with the gray tank. That helps rinse that line of any effluent that came out of the black tank. When I'm finished draining both of my tanks, I turn the SaniCon off and I can store the hose. I can also do a black tank or gray tank rinse if I would like before I store the hose. So once I drain my tanks, if I want to rinse each of those tanks, then I would turn plug the hose in here. You've got black tank rinse here. You've got gray tank rinse here. So you connect your fresh hose here for gray tank and black for here. So once we connect our water supply to the black or the gray to rinse the black tank or the gray tank, we turn on that water supply. It's going to send the water through the SaniCon, making sure this is open and your SaniCon is on. So make sure this valve is open, SaniCon is on, and then turn your water supply on to rinse the black tank, and then you can repeat for the gray tank. When you're rinsing, you want to open the valve to the black tank and let all that effluent out. When you're finished, you can disconnect your hose and close these, turn your SaniCon off. Then the water line that goes between the tank and this inlet can be drained here just by opening this up for the black or this one for the gray. These two low point drains for the hot and the cold are part of the winterizing process. The cord reel, when we're finished with filling the fresh tank or using the coach on city supply and we're ready to travel, has a power cord reel for retraction. Just press down here. And this compartment should be kept closed in cold weather environments so that the heating device that's located in the back can turn on and keep the water tanks warm. There's a switch device right here. This is the temperature sensor. When the temperature reaches about 40 degrees, the sensor closes and we'll turn on the heating fan as long as the ITR Oasis burner is turned on. In addition to the burner being on, you have to have the selection on the touch panel set to furnace. If you do that, then you'll have heat in the water bay compartment so that you don't get freeze-ups. When you're finished in this compartment, just close the door. No. When you're finished with the draining of your tanks, you'll just retract this hose. And put your cover back in. And you're ready to close the door. So our next compartment forward is our cord reel compartment. And to extend the cord reel is just a manual pull out. And when you have it plugged in, then you would put it in this slot and close the door. When you're ready to retract it, the door has a switch here and it retracts like this. On the back side or the back wall are a fuse panel, the charge bridge solenoid, and the battery disconnect for the house batteries. The cover that goes across that is an ABS cover, and on the back side of that is a legend which gives you the location and the names of every fuse and mini breaker. If any of the fuses need to be replaced, They would be the kind that are in the top two fuse locations. The ones in the center or the bottom are all resettable type fuses that look like this. So if this type of resettable fuse was blown, this yellow device would pop outward, and if you would see that, you would just push it in to reset. And then after you reset it, then you would just put it back in the slot that you removed it. Or you can do it while it's still in. You don't have to take it out like I did. The transfer switch is this black box here. The transfer switch is a set of relays that transfer power either from the shore cord or from the gray cord that comes from the generator. So it selects either the supply on the gray line from the generator or the short cord. It always gives the generator the priority. So if the generator's running, it's going to select the generator for power. There are two red lights you can see glowing here near my finger. The two red lights indicate you have two lines of power coming in from the shore cord. If only one red light was lit, that would mean you only have one line or 30 amps or less power. The power that comes in here is displayed on this RV power monitor. You can scroll up and down the screens to view the current date. You can see if there's any faults. It shows the shore is active. It shows how many volts are on each line and how many amps are being drawn. At the bottom of the compartment is our cable connection for in-house viewing of cable. So if your park has cable, this is where you would plug it in and turn off your Winegard antenna so that the cable signal goes through to your TVs, and be sure that you scan for those cable channels on the TV. In the next compartment forward are the house batteries and the inverter chargers. Behind them are the fuses that go from the batteries to the house. This is the block where all of the power is connected together. The batteries go and feed the house supply through the BMS. The BMS has a blue LED ring light that looks exactly like the one above the entrance door in that cabinet. And you can see here, if I hold my finger, I can see that blue LED ring light glowing on my finger. I can reset it here if it goes out, or I can reset it in the overhead. But if it's on and I press that button up, it will disconnect this power from the house. So that BMS box is what connects the house batteries to power up the house. This is the switch that I was talking about earlier. There's a black switch on both of the inverter chargers. As long as it's turned on or towards the word on, then the inverters will operate and charge the batteries and invert, which means takes power out of the batteries, turns it into 120 volt for your appliances on the sub panels. But if this is turned off or just to charge, then the inverters will not power up your appliances or your plugs for 120 volt. It won't operate your Girard awnings and things like that. So you want to make sure both of these switches are on. That way you can view the panel in the overhead to control your Victron inverters. In this compartment, there is a rubber strap that covers the chassis or starting batteries. These batteries can be serviced by disconnecting the cables and removing them. If you do replace or remove the cables and you forget how the batteries were wired, there is a legend for the chassis battery connections right here. When you're done servicing or checking the batteries or replacing them, you just simply want to put this cover back on. Put your rubber strap back on. This is another storage compartment. In this compartment is our ITR Oasis overflow bottle, because the boiler antifreeze in the burner expands and contracts, so this fluid level will go up and down as it's operating. This needs to be kept filled to the low level point, and if it's empty, obviously we've got to fill that back up. This is the filter for the diesel fluid that goes into the burner. For the Oasis ITR, this needs to be changed every 12 months. Our hot water outlet is here. As long as we have the ITR Oasis burner turned on, we'll have hot water here. If you want constant hot water in abundance, you have to have the burner on. If you only have the elements on, you won't get that much hot water out of it. This is the auxiliary cockpit air for the chairs, for the passenger and driver's seat. And of course, this is your fuel tank. This is our side view camera for the left side of the coach. When we turn our left turn signal on, this is the camera that comes on. Just below the door, we have our DEF tank here, the fill, open and close, and this is for our diesel fill.